Alrighty, welcome everybody to another Nomadic Cole video for your guys' education and entertainment. Be sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment, share, and of course, subscribe for more epic, awesome, cool, funny, and interesting content just like this one right here, right now on the Nomadic Cole YouTube channel. So guys, we are just getting started, guys. We're supposed to have a big conversation a couple days ago. I had gone and talked to a couple of the people inside my channel, and I put out an announcement saying, who the hell wants to freaking join the live stream tonight? Because tonight is the night for a live stream. Like exactly right now is the time that they're supposed to be here. But none of them have joined the chat yet. Just yet. A couple of them are active, so it might take a little bit. Might have to kill a little bit of time beforehand. But yeah, in the meanwhile, while we wait, I'm gonna go get everything set up with the stream, get the chat on, of course, and we'll join that VC in just a second. So I don't want to do that one. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. All right. That right now we should do something. Okay, Max Wendigo says something. I am currently inside. Okay, what's she saying? Probably busy. Wouldn't be surprised. Ah.
Hi.
Oh, hi. So we finally got Max the Wendigo inside the chat. Here, let me actually go and get this thing up. All right, we're just going to do some mic checks real quick. So let me go and throw this thing up real quick.
Okay.
Because nobody's joined yet, as you can tell, besides you and me. So we're going to do mic checks.
All right. Okay.
Mic check. Check 1, check 2. Mic check. Check 1, 2, 3. All right. You can do mic checks on your end.
Okay. Seems here.
All right. Yeah, looks good.
I think we're good.
Nice.
It's active. Yep.
All right, that's cool.
All right. Are we just waiting for everyone else?
Yeah, we're just pretty much waiting for everyone else inside the lobby, pretty much. Drake Dragon says,
all right.
Hey. All right, he'll be joining in just a minute, too. And Rexus Prime said he might be here, but as a lurker, so I'm not sure if he'll join. We'll probably start up the conversation with Drake Dragon since I announced you guys.
All right. Cool. Oh, there he is.
All right, Drake Dragon is in the chat.
I don't even know where I'm at, but
Wait. All right, I'm gonna look up the. Do you have the live pulled up on the Discord channel?
There you go.
Yeah, I have the live up on YouTube on my channel, pretty much. So that's where it's streaming to right now. If you want to look at it right now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go to. Oh, hold up. I'm trying to go look up your account, YouTube, so I can also look at the
viewer count.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. Alright, so I'm just looking. I'm also able to look at the chat, so if we need to.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just get this thing started. So basically, we're probably just gonna go around like round table style and take turns, just giving our individual takes. So I think we'll start off with some introductions to introduce yourself. So first, we have here up in the top right corner on your screen, guys, we have Max the Wendigo.
Hi guys.
There are several Maxes. I've remembered.
You can call me Max, Wendigo, Wendy. I don't care. I'm just
Hello.
kind of happy to be here, able to talk with some friends again.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then down here we got Drake Dragon. He's been on the channel a few times. He's
getting older every day.
getting older every day. Yeah, he's going to give us the MAGA perspective on some of these issues we're going to talk about today. And of course, I am your host, the Nomadic Cole, your favorite independent libertarian. All right, let's get to talking.
Hey, who knows?
Larry Sharp does a better show
Okay.
than I do, of course, so I wouldn't be surprised if I'm not their favorite.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so let's start off with some recent news that happened. So I think the first thing that everybody's been talking about recently is that whole scare with the bombings in Iran that happened. That whole I call it the Israeli-Iranian missile crisis. So I think we'll start off with Max. Like, what were your thoughts on that while that whole thing was going down? Now that everything's cooled off.
I thought we were gonna have World War III at that point because I thought we were gonna I've noticed in the couple years we've been having like wars after war after war, like the Ukrainian war with Russia. Apparently another country has been trying to take over South Korea. I think it's North Korea trying to take over South Korea again. And then we just got a new president, and he's just like, let's bomb that place. So I was just like, okay, I thought we are gonna just chill for for a year at least. Can we just chill? I have family that are in the military, and that I'm like, okay, I'd rather not deal with this right now. This is too much. We're playing too much here.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was pretty scary too. Definitely a lot of red flags that were going on, and I really do pay attention to this a lot for just as a hobby. I do the geopolitics, always talking with Rexus Prime and Drake Dragon and other people here on the channel usually. So, I mean, I definitely was in the same boat as you, where I thought, hey, we might be having a World War III situation, especially considering that Iran is allies with Russia and China, and Iran is they're pretty much a continental power in the Middle East. This isn't like Obama or George Bush or Biden bombing third world countries, although in my opinion that's bad too. This was bombing a continental power, and in the middle of a hot war in the Middle East. Probably a very risky maneuver. And then I heard recently that the plutonium that was inside the Fordo nuclear base that was bombed by Donald Trump was actually moved out. So Iran still has nuclear power. Anyways, they also didn't bomb their shoreline nuclear power plants either. So they still have nuclear power. I feel like this was just Donald Trump trying to flex America's guns and pretty much force kind of a shock on the world, it seemed like, was the strategy that he was going for. What's your take on this, TM Drake?
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at it from a few perspectives. I'm actually a little more independent these days than normal. But I was looking at the engineering behind it. And when I first heard of it, I thought there was going to be some negotiation going on, and then I was surprised of the immediate bombing. But then looking at the technology behind it, I guess you could say there is a muscle flex going on, but at the same time, you can't really declare war without Congress. So it is a surgical strike by definition. Whether it did any good in geopolitics, that might be another story altogether.
You've
One thing
raised
got
a
to
good
keep in
point,
mind.
CM Drake, and I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement.
Yeah. Word gets across the internet very fast, so there is an understanding that he had probably within 1 or 2 weeks to act if word leaked out. Because I saw some AI development that actually was spot on the technology involved. So if Russia knew what we could have done already, that could have been a different direction we're going already. But he may have did two sides of me thinks one side thinks he may have did the right thing to try to knock it off to the next country over and minimize damage and minimize fatalities, or B, you could have also kind of turned his back on a couple of MAGA supporters.
Yeah,
So we don't
yeah.
we'll see what happens next coming weeks.
Yeah, I definitely found myself when the whole thing broke out, I definitely found myself kind of more leaning into like the Thomas Massey and Dave Smith boat. I was like, hey, one, this is kind of unconstitutional, and two, I'm anti-war as it gets, so I'm not going to support Trump until this whole thing's over. And luckily, it got resolved. I mean,
Well,
he's very
we'll have to
the
see because
Iranians showed us restraint, actually.
the Iranian people, not all of them are that bad, but at the same time, their government is a little bit iffy. So just like Russia is too, no one knows who's who's holding back on what because everyone's capable of lying in the world's official solution. So
Yeah. Well, it actually turns out that Iran showed us some restraint because remember when they launched the 14 rockets at the U.S. military base in Qatar? Um, they actually had warned us about that prior to that, which shows me a little bit that maybe Donald Trump, honestly, and when going into negotiations, should probably trust Iran a little bit more than he should trust Israel, which blatantly lied to us about the WMDs in the first place. And Donald Trump just ignored Tulsi Gabbard's intelligence from 3 months ago.
yeah, he may have had something on there because being someone of the entrepreneur status and being screwed a few times, I'm sure he's probably listening to the people that's closer to him in the world stage on the other countries and trying to figure it out, even though we don't want to start another war and we don't want to be involved in conflict. And I would agree to stay out of it the whole time. But at the same time, can we really trust Iran with nukes right now? So
What it's
I actually think they have to have a lot of restraint for something with that much power.
Yeah. Well, what happened with the Tulsi Gabbard thing is Tulsi Gabbard had said that, according to I believe the IAEA report, that said that Iran wasn't actually building any nukes, and we can see the aerial footage from their bases, and it looks for their nuclear facilities, and it looks like they all have a power plant of some sort connected to them. So clearly, they're using these um, bases for nuclear power. Um, I wouldn't be
More than likely
I wouldn't be
when it
surprised if
comes
they're
to
developing dirty
enrichment
bombs.
process, but
Oh, sorry for talking over.
yeah, there is a limitation how much you can actually enrich it because even if you go above like 25%, it tends to fizzle on its own. So usually between 10 and 25, and most of those could actually be detected by our sensors. But it doesn't mean that like even the uranium reactors we built in the in the past, sorry about that, could be used as breeder reactors as well, from what I understand, which is why people don't really like what they call positive coefficient reactors, which are generally used for generating just pure heat, and that's it for power stations. But yeah, there is a limit, and unlike something like North Korea in the past, we've seen the actual detonation underground because we can detect the shock waves. We do have the technology to detect it when they are practicing and experimenting. But as far as you're right, we don't know 100%, but we do know that there is a possibility, at least from AI, that's saying that with current technology, people could actually be hiding a lot more than you think they are. So,
Yeah.
so he may have edged on the costume of any decoys or anything along that line. So that's one direction it was going, that maybe Iran isn't telling the full story, but maybe there's a cover up on top of it too. I'm not saying they're not wrong to build nuclear power. I think nuclear energy for power plants is one of the best ones out there. So,
Yeah.
cleanness.
I just thought it was a little bit, is definitely risky and definitely scary, but for a minute, but at least everything for the time being has worked out all right. We'll see how those negotiations, I think they happen next week in Qatar, are going to actually go out between these world powers. But yeah, definitely wasn't my first choice to listen to Israeli intelligence over Tulsi Gabbard.
No,
Yeah.
but keep in mind, I live in California, one of the biggest city, and we don't want to be a target.
Yeah, I know you're in the big city over there, and you know, I mean, I wouldn't say Los Angeles is the biggest target on the U.S. I would say D are probably a lot bigger, and then followed by most likely San Francisco or San Diego.
If you're going for population or
I
infrastructure,
I
population, cities are big targets. Infrastructure would be places of bases and or manufacturing.
Yeah,
I think Alaska could be also a big target because we have like we're like a supply of like oil
Yes,
here.
that was actually discussed.
We have the
By
largest
resource.
pipeline in the US.
That would triple
I
the ability
hold
to
on.
manufacture a lot of things.
Yeah, I don't want you
yeah,
guys.
as long as they don't touch our boats, then we're fine.
That's the reason why alerts are very needed, and they better diffuse the situation ahead of time.
Yeah, sorry guys.
I,
I think we might
if
have
we could,
trampled over each other's audio for a second there.
Sorry about that. There's a delay actually, but it might be me.
Ah, that would make sense.
okay.
But yeah, Max brought up the point, anyways, that that Alaska could be a target for nuclear powers because of all the oil we have over there. Um, and then I forgot what TM Drake brought up after that.
Alaska, possibly New York, Max, because that has a pretty big population density. California, you're right, is kind of spread out because the state is pretty large. But big cities like New York and San Francisco, at least used to be Silicon Valley, but I would say Texas and many other that are industrial, that are well populated with a lot of large amount of technology and or manufacturing.
Yeah.
So those are
Yeah,
one of things that you were kind of like wondering, can you diffuse this? Because you said you can do it. So,
I think well, one thing is that Alaska is like really close to Russia, especially with the Aleutian chain we have, which is just the islands from to the to Alaska, which one of our islands is like it takes like I think about on boat it would take about probably 3 hours just to boat over there, depending on the type of boat it is. Um, I'm not completely sure. Do not quote me on that. But since we're close to Russia and Alaska was U.S. bought Alaska from Russia, Russia might try to take us again, especially for our oil. They might try to fight and take us again. So that could be a problem for us.
that's if they decide to go to the level of invasion. So let's hope it doesn't go to that, even though that today in the world stage could be as easy as internet communication. Remember, Stuxnet was a worm we created during the other
Yeah.
Bush administration. So that really
Yeah.
proved that you can do cyber warfare.
Yeah.
We also
I
don't
mean,
want
it's
Russia or China screwing up our infrastructure too, because we have a lot of technology these days.
yeah. The technology is definitely going to be a big one. I think if any place that might get bombed by Iran would be probably would be like one of the bigger cities where most people, but at the same time trying to get people away and like tell them like back off. So that's why I was thinking maybe Alaska would be it, because then they can take over us with Russia
Yeah,
by like bombing us and basically making us flee and then taking all our oil.
Alaska, you're just separated by Canada.
Rexus
No,
Prime just joined.
I mean like they could like take all our oil from Alaska because we have like we have a lot of oil here and we have a large pipeline from Ukuyavik and Anchorage, or I think it goes from Seward to Ukuyavik, which is called Barrow, which used to be called Barrow. So
Yeah.
that could be a problem if they bomb us to make us flee Alaska to take our oil. That could be the problem, where Russia was having problems because we weren't accepting oil from them. We weren't letting in our oil at all, any of it. So they might try to take us just so then they can take our oil. That could be a thing because they would need it for like their tanks back. They have refineries in Russia and China, which that's sometimes where we send our oil at the
all over the U.S. California used to be one of the biggest ones. There's actually like about 15 minutes away from me right now. There's another refinery. I don't know how much production they're actually doing, but there's several here in Southern California. So,
Yeah, we used to send it to China because it would cost less. We send it to Russia and China because it would cost less to do it here.
there would be a well, that's because California taxes. There are states where there's less taxable on petrol-based products. Just surprising that there's no taxes on petrol refined products, but in other states there are other refineries. I mean, we're not just the only one. It just happens to be a lot of them are on this side by California because we had the black gold era. So a lot of them are still here from those generations. Even
Yeah,
though we
that
also,
was like the first gold rush. Everyone
we
wanted to go there.
energy. If you go out to the more windy direction, there's wind turbines, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't always work, but they are alternative sources of energy within the 13% of our resources.
Yeah.
And with all the trees we have here, that's also another thing. And we have a lot of resources here in Alaska, especially since we don't like drill we don't drill our lands as much. We don't know if we have like how much oil we might have. We just know we have a lot of it.
Well,
Especially
oil is interesting because if you got to break it down, it's really, they call it a hydrocarbon is the other technical terms. I can still remember old science math, but a lot of bioproducts and things convert to oil at the end of the day, and that oil can be used to make plastics and other materials too. So
yeah,
there's no doubt that oil does exist around us in many forms and factors. It's just that the amount would be crippled. There would be a significant amount of production. But like I said, one of the reasons why Trump wanted to open up more resource all around, so we have redundancy. So any place that get hits, where, for example, if you're never using something more than 10 to 20%, no more than 50% capacity, you have a lot of redundancy. One node goes out, you still have enough spare redundancy. That's one of the reasons why producing a lot of resource in our homeland is actually very beneficial for us because we don't have to have dependency on resource.
yeah,
And though we could make it cheaper in China, and China can make quality whatever way you want, high end, low end, no quality, full quality, they will turn heads to whoever writes them the check. So, but same like in the US though, if we make more of in the US and we have competitive markets, then pricing, like they say, supply and demand, you make too much supply of something, you lower the demand. But now all of your friends and everyone in your backyard knows how to do the same thing. So we can keep more stuff in our country is very beneficial as a country to produce our domestic production in the U.S., whether it's energy, oils, products, and everything else with it. Right now, the thing he did focus on, which could have been the reason why he did drop those bunker busters, was the ability to do them very surgically, which is pretty impressive from my point of view, that accuracy.
Yeah. I'll probably jump in there. I'll tag team on it though. Um, Coming from a geopolitical perspective, Max, I wouldn't be too worried about a Russian invasion onto Alaska. Um, the main reason being is that Russia right now is very preoccupied with Ukraine. Ukraine is turning out to be um, actually a little bit much to handle for Russia right now, especially after they just launched that massive drone attack that destroyed a lot of their long distance bombers. So I wouldn't be too nervous about Russia right now. Russia right now is really trying to deal with this Ukraine situation, and I think they're.
And even then,
Oh, go for it, Rexus.
and and even then, within Siberia, they have lots of oil that they do not really need Alaska's oil. And then there is the Adriatic Sea between Russia and Alaska, which is one of the most deadliest seas in the world.
Here's another
So to
thing you
them,
gotta.
it is way too much of a risk.
Well, here's another thing. Alaska's been a target for the last 5 years, so that's also another thing. Russia's been like trying to fight Trump on this also, and like Biden, they've been fighting on this, but like trying to take us for the last 5 years here.
Well, yeah, you have to remember, Russia knows that they use a lot of rhetoric, and they were just trying to bully around Biden because he's an old man and he's very weak in his policies. So you have to take that into account as well. They were just trying to bully him.
Yeah.
Basically. They were trying to intimidate Joe Biden and be like, "Oh yeah, we are very strong. You was trying to fight us because they were mad at Joe Biden for sending all that money to Ukraine to fight the proxy war." So there was like, "Oh yes, we are very strong. We could come over to Russia and or Alaska and attack and take all your oil and stuff like that," because
Yeah.
Biden was using sanctions to levy
Okay.
against Russia for oil. So Russia was hurting for oil then. But as Rex's Prime raises a point, Russia right now controls a large portion of Ukraine. They have a lot of oil in Siberia, and they're able to mine from the Alaskan Sea if they absolutely have to.
Yeah, that's one thing. But I'm just worried because if they come attack us, that could cause more problems. Because even if the threats, they could. I mean, they remember during World War II when they've tried to Japan threatened us and they didn't care and they tried to bomb Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
So we ended up fighting back. But even then, Japan is even like trying to be like saying out of it, like, "Oh nope, we learned our lesson. Nope, we're out of this," because they didn't want this whole thing again, and ended up having one of their cities get bombed. But we have a lot of we have like a lot of like nuclear power plants here. We have the oil here. We got some other natural resources which are renewable. And non-renewable.
You also
So
have
it
gold
could be.
mines.
Yeah, we have coal mines. That's another thing. The coal and the gold mines we have here. That could be another thing, especially some of them actually go into Canada too. That couldn't be another problem we have, because if they try to bomb us, they're gonna try to get to Canada next, and then probably try to surround us as much as possible. If they try to take Alaska first and then Canada, they could just try to surround us completely. But also at the same time, if they try to take Alaska, they're just going to start.
Keep in mind, Max, Alaska is still part of the Union, so therefore you have a constitution. It's tied in our constitution that you would be requiring Congress. We would have to support you at the federal level no matter what. So even if they were to start shooting strikes at you guys, we would have to, our military forces would have to be mobilized as fast as we can, kind of like what they did in LA, but That's because that's a federal level of responsibility and that at the executive level to make sure. So it is actually within the responsibility, but you are right. But you do have the full support of the rest of the union if that happens. So just remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, here's another thing. I'm also thinking about how Alaska's been with with Congress and everything. They have with not just outside of this whole thing that's been going on. Congress has been trying to take a bunch of rights about our native all our native cultures. They're trying to take our healthcare away and many other things that could be detrimental. I cannot pronounce words, but it could. They're not really supporting us as much like that. They pushing our senator already to his limits.
I remember when we had to buy healthcare ourselves, but yeah, it's expensive. My last surgery
if you're
was 10 grand, and that was at my copay.
Yeah.
in Alaska, we already have if you're native, you get free healthcare, but they're trying to take that away.
You're not really that old yet. Until you get to your 50s, that's when you start to really need it. Maybe 40s.
I still need. I need it because due to, I have visible disabilities, which cause me not to be able to not be a normal person per se. So we have a lot of people who are like ADHD, have autism, depression, anxiety. Depression is the big problem because we have a really high suicide rate up here, and they try to take away our health care. And due to the fact that we need the vitamin D and the supplements and stuff, they're even raising the prices for that. I'd be like, oh, you need vitamin D? Well, too bad, you gotta pay double if you want this. Because of during
Yeah.
I still get 12 hours because you're rotating around the other portion, but the problem is your day and night lights are screwy compared to the clock time, I would assume.
Yeah.
You guys are at the time zone.
Because we're so high up, and when it comes to the during the year, the axis, the tilt, and everything, it messes up our hours of how much we get. And still winter, that's when the suicide becomes even higher. And most of the time it's either teenagers or young adults who end up dying due to the fact we should take away your PFD. If you guys don't know what a PFD is, it's where we get money from the government for living in Alaska. We get a certain amount of money each year. To be like, hey, thank you for giving it your oil, here's some money.
They used to give us tax subsidies for living in the coast of Florida for the same reason, because it's a very risky area to live off the where you can get hit by hurricanes and sometimes tornadoes too as well.
The only things we get here, we get tsunami warnings, but and a lot of other things that are going on. But
tsunamis that area?
yeah.
Because I do know
What's that?
Hawaii too. I have one Hawaiian friend that has mentioned something about
tsunami. We get tsunami warnings like monthly over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to go and segue. To the next part. Since you guys are bringing up Congress and Max was specifically bringing up this whole taking away of benefits, I wanted to get back to the whole idea of this current big beautiful bill. I don't think it's a very beautiful bill, if you ask me, because I've read it and looked into it, and I agree with Representative Thomas Massey. I oppose it. We need single issue bills. We have the majority in Congress to do it. It's
issues requires our taxpayers to pay, like people who can't literally survive on their own would be a consideration for funding. But the only reason why they're ramming these big bills because apparently the Dems did it for years and they figured they could do the same as well. So, they say copy and imitation's the best form of flattery. So they're doing the same thing, which I really think the reason why we put those guys in power was because they're going to go in a better direction to benefit the people and hopefully cut off this wasteful spending too. We've got a few things that are pretty wasteful.
Well,
So
the
targeted
problem
spending.
is the problem with the whole idea of them. I don't have a problem with them cutting wasteful spending. Doge was supposed to cut something like $180 billion of spending or something like that.
For that.
Actually, not even billions. I think it was millions. But instead, the big beautiful bill doesn't apply any of those cuts, and instead raises the debt by 2.5 trillion this year alone, and over the next decade it will go 2.5 trillion every single year until we get up to $25 trillion in debt, and that will cause hyperinflation. So that's what I'm really worried
We'll
about.
keep going.
I'm also worried about the whole
I mean,
Palantir AI deregulation as well, and taking away national parks, and of course cutting Medicaid and veterans benefits, small business, agriculture grants, all that. Very worrying stuff.
small one because I know a lot of people who are small business that haven't even 10 years now they haven't still gotten grown to a bigger business. Some have, lucky them, but most of them are still small businesses. Yes.
Because of the taxes. If you make your business really big, you're going to get taxed more. That's another problem with it.
Yeah, and then there's different types of taxes too, because small businesses you can go for everything from as low as a contractor up to a multi-contractor firm or something like that. I know KP and other ones I worked for in the past was done that way. They weren't exactly what you would call tax shelters, but some people called it that way. Believe it or not, your mall was supposed to be a tax shelter at one point. So there's actually a story to that too as well. But yeah, with a lot of these things that they add in there to try to cut, and they didn't really cut as much as we thought they were going to cut, and most of the cutting was you can't cut this, that. But some of the announcements that they did turn a few heads in Congress. So watch your
Yeah.
money a little closer.
Yeah, I do think that if level heads do rise up within the Republican Party, I do think there is enough opposition that this BBB can be blocked. Rand Paul right now is doing a hell of a job at making the case to the Republican Party right now. I know Chip Roy has jumped on board, and uh, you know the senator from Maine and Lisa Murkowski, who are moderates, and Ron Johnson have all considered opposing this bill as well. So I really hope that that these Republicans get their heads straight and get together, and get about at least 5 or 6 of them to join the Democrats and oppose this bill, and then say, "Hey, let's do what we said we were going to do. Let's go after smaller bills." I know you made the point that it might be more tax dollars and
focus what you need to prioritize where the money needs to go. That's what it is.
yeah.
Big bills are just a way to hide shit. That's all.
Yeah, that's basically what they're doing. They're actually putting little candies on top of the bill now. They're saying, "Oh, we'll do something with trans issues, and we're gonna make it so there's no trans issues in school, and oh, we'll make it so that we can put biotechnology and whatnot, and for the Maha people." And then I look at the bill and I'm like, but it also says you're going to deregulate AI for 10 years, and AI is going to be the death of us, if you ask me.
AI is an
It
interesting
really
tool.
won't.
Very interesting tool. I tried it myself, and I love how X puts human errors in its coding language. I catch all the errors and I tell it to the AI, but because I'm a coder myself, so. But it's an interesting piece of technology. I don't think it's truly going to be the death of us, but it can take over a lot of things that can cause a lot of issues if it's not treated with respect like any other tool.
Yeah.
So
The problem is that
Yeah, like I mean by with the whole AI thing, like yes, we are currently in the whole the whole of what would be labeled as the liminal space between the diesel punk and the cyberpunk world. But I don't think it will be the death of us, but it will certainly shake things up a bit.
I mean, the thing I want to see with AI is I don't hate AI. I think it's a useful tool. I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world to have AI. My problem with is that when it's used in the wrong hands, and it already is it is an effective tool at scamming people. There is already videos online that are being used as PSAs now to show elderly people that they can easily be scammed by AI with very realistic images.
Well, I mean by what do you expect? Like, I mean by we all, and of course, I think you've also seen this. The whole entire ultra realistic robot puppy ads. Those ones are like very obvious scams.
Luckily, luckily for the time being, and especially right now, most of AI, especially with humans, has an uncanny valley. That means that you're able to sort of tell subconsciously, "Hey, this isn't a human. I can't see the soul in their eyes." It goes into the uncanny valley bin, and you kind of realize, "Hey, this is an AI. This isn't real."
Yeah, even Google did just make a video AI system where it does actually look kind of realistic. And of course, the only times where you can't tell if it's AI would be due to these subtleties in it. You know, the stuff that's pretty much common in AI, such as the whole weird inaccuracies in letters.
Yeah, that's a one to look out for. My main giveaway is the uncanny valley feeling because I'm able to decipher, at least now, what's AI and what's not, because I'll look at, you'll see it's a person talking, and I can look at the background, see how faded it is, look at the person, be like, hey, these their eyes don't look right. Hey, what their skin doesn't look right. Hey, they kind of have these weird bags under their eyes. They kind of look like a masked person, and then it goes into the uncanny valley territory. And I'm like, oh, this is an AI, and luckily YouTube and
Then there's the
other
fact
people are saying you have to
then there's the
announce
fact
it's AI.
that all of those yep, and then there's the fact that like all of those videos and images look hyper clean. Like, I mean by
Yeah.
even in human images that are made by people, even if you find something that is the cleanest thing possible, you can tell that in some areas it's still dirty.
Yeah.
But in AI images, it's just hyper clean.
Well, that's because the AI does not have a perspective of the real world, which is extremely analog. It's even when I do some coding with embedded system with a friend of mine for robotics, it's very good job at getting logic correct. And in some cases, I guess their firewall's putting human error, which I actually spotted a few times. But even though I've actually had AI read things like manuals and documents and say, okay, can you summarize this in one page so I can get the key information? It does a fairly good job with the intelligence side, but its bulleted point is like reading your syllabus for school. You've read a syllabus, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's good at doing the intelligent operation, but the human aspect is definitely missing. You can kind of tell because usually when I talk to a professor, there's always some other human glistening to it, even when he summarizes things as fast as he can.
Yeah.
So
Max, what's
you
your
can kind
opinion
of tell.
on AI?
It's it's a good tool to cut down my 300-page document to one page and narrow the problem down. At the same time, it's just a tool at the end of the day.
Yeah. Max, what's your opinion on AI?
I don't really know much about it, but all I say is that I'm not a fan of AI due to the artist perspective, like an artist, but um outside of it, like I get like it can be helpful sometimes. It's just if like I was using any like AI to like help me take notes or understand something, I would be like to have like a mental note of something. But art is like the one thing that I don't want to mess with.
Let me guess.
Yeah, but sadly, but yeah, it is definitely a concern with the whole art thing. But such as what Tax Brass said, AI won't entirely remove artists. It will indeed only remove the terrible artists, but not the great ones.
Yeah, it's just because like people who are new artists who are learning how to make art, people are like, "Oh, you can just use AI to make it." And, like they're trying to express who they are as a person. I'm an artist. I make mostly paintings of like mushrooms and like trippy art just for myself and like some people I know, just for fun. But at the same time, like people who are trying to be up like really good artists at music, like anything with like painting, drawing, even music at this point, AI can make it no matter what. They can make whatever. But
Writing.
it's just writing's even another one.
Yeah,
You can just tell.
that's the one. That is the one area where I will definitely struggle with, mainly because I am making 2 pieces of writing.
Yeah. And another thing is that I get like if it was used to be like help get an idea of what you want to draw, so you have like the things you want to put in it, and then you use the AI to like make a picture of it, so then you have an idea of what you want to do, like a concept art.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it makes me upset when people just use it just because like, oh yeah, because it's better than people's art. I will say, because I've seen people like be like, oh yeah, you can just take it off the internet, but there is still an artist who made it, and you're using their art without their permission. Even if they put it on the internet, there is still like you still need to tag them or let them know like, hey, you use it. Like mine's just from an anime that everyone knows and can reference from, like my profile picture here.
Yeah.
A lot of people think I just don't like AI, especially since it's allowed to use the like AI to help you take notes, but even then students will just submit what the AI made instead of making your own thing.
Yeah.
Which upsets me because they're not even learning if you're giving them a tool, if you're giving them the answer with.
The days
Yeah,
of me
I've also heard that AI is a lot of their models now are being based off of artists online's art. The AI is going through the Google searches and with artists when you're trying to create art and is compilating all these different artist styles together and creating like what you basically describe it to do essentially. That's why they made that song at that one furry convention. Why did you make my? Why did you steal my digital art? I think it's a pretty good song, and I think it raises a good awareness of the problems of AI in this generation.
Yeah, there's one thing I will use AI for, and it's due to the fact that I'm dyslexic. Use it to use for audio. So like I can scan a textbook, and the AI will create make a voiceover of it, so I can be able to understand what it's saying. That is the only thing I'll ever be like, okay, yeah, I'll use it for this. Like,
fair enough.
Because I have a hard time reading as a problem, but I can understand it if someone's talking to me about it or showing me. I just can't read it as well, like others.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to go to another point, another topic before we eventually have to wrap this thing up. So let's talk a little bit. I don't know if any of you guys watch this podcast, but Bernie Sanders was recently on Joe Rogan, and it sounds like Bernie Sanders is trying to join the Maha train now, the Make America Healthy Again movement. Anybody watch that podcast recently?
No.
Can you I have not been. I've been under a rock. So all I know is that he was the guy. I know Charles. I don't remember his name. What was his name again? I know
Joe
who he
Rogan
was, but
was talking about,
no,
and then Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders on Joe Rogan Experience, if I you mentioned.
no, I
Yeah.
haven't heard about that.
I didn't
Basically,
even
anyway,
I didn't even get news of it because, well, I mean, I've been busy doing other stuff, and of course, I am a think that Nomadic Cole will know what I'm obviously referring to.
yeah, your book deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah, go for it.
No, sorry. I was just thinking for a second. Sorry, I was thinking out loud.
Okay. Yeah, but basically, on the Joe Rogan Experience, Bernie Sanders actually made a second appearance now on the Joe Rogan Experience. And basically, what he's trying to do is appeal to the moderates and, push his policies forward, obviously. That's what politicians do. And basically, what he did is he kind of actually jumped on the Maha train. He talks about a need for regenerative agriculture. He talks about the need for getting food dyes and this poison out of our food. And I'm glad that's happening. Bernie Sanders has also co sponsored a bill with RFK Jr. and Angus King Jr. in the Senate to go ahead and get pharmaceutical ads off of television stations, which is going to hurt a lot of these big corporate news media outlets, and it's also going to hurt the pharmaceutical companies a little bit too with the dough that they're bringing in. So I'm glad Bernie Sanders is joining the Maha movement, and unless he says otherwise, I'm going to consider him at least a distant ally at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm
Well,
glad that we're getting rid of the chemicals in our food, but because I've noticed when I was a kid, I was able to eat apples all the time. But now there's this waxy texture that I can't even wash off, and now I can't eat it without
And there's
peeling it.
vegetable oil. I'm actually friends with a guy called Batty Commander. He's 59 years old. So of course he's been around for a while. But he did point out how he noticed of how when vegetable oil was first introduced, people became fat.
Yeah.
They weren't thin when they weren't thin anymore. But back when meat lard was around, people were thin.
lard
Yeah.
was fun.
When tallow and all that stuff came in, everyone became more. I would say, I guess the best way to put it is not lean, but just fat. Yeah. I have a problem with it too because I live in a. It's one of the big things, especially up here in Alaska. We need the fat so then we can burn it during the winter and we are able to stay warm. However, we burn it so fast up here usually because of the cold. Because our bodies are trying to stay warm. And I will say there's one thing I'm really upset about is that America's been trying to give food to Africa and everything, but they're only giving beans and rice. They're not actually giving them anything else. People can't really survive off of that. Just off of those things. Not even recent. I mean, maybe during the first steps of civilization, but now we're like our bodies are coming to a point where we're like, oh, we need a lot more food than just beans and rice.
I mean, if you
I
ask
just
me, entire civilizations in Asia have been able to live off of the simple grain of rice and beans for generations. I mean, Mexico has basically been raised off beans and rice. So I wouldn't say that beans and rice is necessarily a bad thing, especially since in America, obviously, we waste so much food that we're in excess of food, clearly. Giving them beans and rice isn't really a bad idea to combat starvation. Of course, I wish that
Instant
these
noodles.
corporations who are obviously hogging all this money and all this food are just wasting it and wasting and wasting it. We should be giving some of that food to the people in need, hopefully.
we
But you're right. You're right about the food dyes. Clearly, it is a problem, and I'm glad that RFK Jr. and Bernie Sanders can reach across the aisle and
Getting rid of
actually solve the
food
problem.
coloring number red dye now. Those were the fun we
Hmm.
re-
used to in science class.
the
Yeah, Red
Food
40.
red 40. And a bunch of
Yeah,
people in my state are allergic to red 40 too. That's another problem. Like I know, like probably like I could
so
probably 5 people I know in my family, or not just my family, but just friends in general, are
this is
allergic to it.
This is what the response was from DuckDuckGo's AI. Joe Rogan recently interviewed Bernie Sanders where they discussed various topics, including political donations, campaign finance reforms, and the current state of U.S. politics. Sanders was criticized the influence of big money in politics, particularly referring to Elon Musk's donation to Trump, while Rogan highlighted the spending of Kamala Harris's campaign. That was the AI
Yeah, I
response.
was going to talk about that a little bit. So yeah, during that conversation, they were talking about the Citizens United decision. Obviously, both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris received crap tons of money, millions and billions of dollars, to do their campaigns. Kamala in just 3 months received $1.5 billion and spent it all on celebrity endorsements, winding her up 20 trillion, or not 20 trillion, 20 $20 million, I should say, in debt. So clearly, big money in politics is a big problem, and this is something in common that libertarians and independents like myself have with the supposed democratic socialists at this point. Like, we are both on the same side of this issue. We're like, hey, there's too much money in politics. Let us, little guys, the third parties, have a chance.
Yeah.
That's why
Um.
they're fighting for everyone, but at the end of the day, they still take the big paycheck. They say they're
Yeah.
fighting for you, but they still take the big paycheck.
That's how the two-party
Yeah.
system works. The two-party system I've seen so far has screwed over the American working class time and time again.
We could always return to the old Viking voting system where they had where they had local chieftains get voted in by other members in the room, and they have no political party ties. They're just there for their own gain, which I will have to say is just far more better than just being a part of some party that just says, oh yeah, we oh yeah, if you put us in, we will make things better, and then they just don't. But but that's just me.
Yeah. I don't know what you think of all this money in politics, Max.
I don't think it's a really good thing. I mean, some people have been noticing something about with like with the government, how it's becoming with the money. It's kind of turning fascist, I would say, somewhat, if anything.
No, it would be
Um,
more along the lines of a corporatist, which yes, it was founded by Benito Mussolini, but but corporatism and fascism, despite their similarities, are somewhat separate. So it's more along the lines of I'm a corporatist than I'm a fascist.
Yeah.
Yeah, we live
However,
in.
using with
Go
Hmm?
for it. Go for it. Go for it.
I
Don't
just
mind me.
okay. I just feel like with the whole thing, like money's been a problem. I mean, look at the homeless problem too, because and especially up here, it's either you're rich or you're poor. There's no in between here. Like we have
Yep.
we have a high homeless problem. We don't even have enough beds for them to even give them a place to stay or anything. They don't even have anyone to go to without causing any problems. High taxes another problem. I think taxes should be lowered, but at the same time, the supply and demand is also another problem we have here.
Yeah. I think Rex's prime is right. We live in what's called now it's very dystopian, very I consider it Orwellian. We live in what's called corporate crony capitalism, where the corporations run basically everything.
No, corporatism is a bit different from capitalism because to
Crony,
simply
corporate
because to
crony capitalism.
no
Corporate
corporatism is a bit different from actual capitalism because
Yeah, of
once
course.
you look up the entire once you know how it works economically, it is a weird mix of both socialism and capitalism, and once you take a look at how they work, yeah, you will definitely see the weird mix of capitalism and socialism, and that's because both syndicalism and corporatism, despite the fact that one was created by the Soviets and one was created by the Italian fascists, were weird mixtures of capitalism and socialism because yeah, it's a weird crazy rabbit hole, just to simply put it.
Yeah, I think I'm following where you're going. Let me try to describe it in my own terms, okay? So, what we live in right now is called corporate crony capitalism, where it's essentially a weird mix of socialism and capitalism. It is a cushy kind of of socialism or corporate welfare for the rich elite, and it is a bone crushing capitalism for the poor and impoverished. What I advocate for as a libertarian is called free market capitalism. This is the capitalism that was obviously pushed for by the likes of John Locke and all that and whatnot. So yeah, I think I understand where you're coming from on that point.
Yep.
I
Though sadly in some areas the free market kind of can't really become a thing, mainly because sadly it just kind of can't right now, and even then to trust people with something that's completely free, yeah, sometimes it can cause problems. Yeah,
I'm well aware of that. I'm well aware of the fact of the hindrance of just leaving it to the markets. I do agree with some level of regulation, even in a free market.
yeah,
yeah.
there's a reason why, and of course this guy I watch is called the aristocratic utensil. He thinks it would be best that yeah, there will be some regulation under the rule of the king. Yeah, I know. Even yeah, I know. Kind of weird that I went from being a pan-Slavist to almost becoming a neo-medievalist to becoming anarcho-capitalist to becoming a full-blown Odinic monarchist. It's a frenia, everyone.
Schizophrenia, everyone. Yeah. What did you want to say, Max?
I kind of agree with what you guys are saying. I'm just worried about everything that's been going on. I'm just like, what the hell? We were
Who
chill
isn't
at the
worried
beginning.
about everything that's going on?
We were
Who
so
isn't
chill at
worried
the
about
beginning.
everything? You're right. We
You
were
go
chill at
first.
the beginning. You're
Yeah.
right. No one knows what the fuck is going on. I posted a meme about that. I mean, it's just, it's insane. It's insane how society has just devolved. I'm glad we can come here and talk civilly about it instead of getting into arguments with my parents and with adults and all this shit these days.
Yeah,
Getting into arguments.
sadly,
You can't talk
yeah,
about it at
sadly
work,
we
obvious.
are. Yeah, so sadly we do live in somewhat of a Weimar Republic era, which of course, Nomadic Cole, I think you know what the Weimar Republic was,
I do.
but
It's the
basically,
era before Hitler.
yeah, and basically we live in that era right now, and of course even Asmund Gold, even that guy who I don't really like because even he is the the quote unquote enlightened centrist, but basically he said that yeah, there will be a second Hitler coming in this era, and sadly we really can't stop it because even if you take a look at it from the long run, sadly rationalism is just not working anymore because we're in that state right now where yeah, people will feel the need to embrace radicalism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the parties they get more split up every single day. It's part of the strategy that the political elites have developed. It's called divide and conquer. I suggest you guys look it up. It's led by a lot of these groups, the Bilderbergs and the Rothschilds and the Trilateral Commission and whatnot.
Yep,
And
and
it's
and that
a
is
bad
what
thing.
actually led, and of course back in Germany during the Weimar Republic era, that is what actually led to the rise of Hitler. He was actually somewhat uniting because I mean, by yeah, despite all the wrong he did, you can not deny the fact that he did at least unite the Germans.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did unite them just behind the wrong cause, obviously.
Yep.
And society right now seems to be almost going that direction. I've seen a lot of people start defending Nick Fuentes in recent months and weeks. Actually, weeks. I've seen a
Didn't
lot
you
of
like
people
have
saying, "Oh, Nick
sex with the
Fuentes,
Destiny?
common sense." Him, Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, isn't there like a video of Destiny sucking his macaque?
I'm not sure, but I
No,
do
wait. Yeah,
understand.
there is. I actually remember clearly now. There is. Destiny did
Uh,
indeed suck his cock.
what can we expect from two beta males?
No, what can we expect from one beta male and a serial rapist? Because let's just say Destiny is the serial rapist.
Yikes. Well, specific. Uh, I thought Destiny had such low testosterone that he was the type of guy who, when his GF and her BF were doing the do, that he would sit in the corner and fap it.
Sadly, that's not the case. Most low testosterone males seem to be serial rapists for some odd reason. Case in point, male feminists. Low testosterone, much more likely to rape people.
I guess I could see why. The reason being is that they can't get what they want, so they just decide to take what they want.
Yep.
I don't know. Anyways, let's move off the topic of Destiny and Nick Fuentes for a second. I want to talk about that New York primary election now. Um, So apparently a Democratic Socialist has actually won the New York primary against the wills of the Democratic establishment, who was supporting Andrew Cuomo for the mayor election. Now we are actually seeing Zorhan Mamandi, or whatever his name is, Mamarandi, I think his name is, whatever his name is. He's a Muslim, and he's also a Democratic Socialist, and of course the right is in.
No. From what I heard, from what I've heard, he is more along the lines of a communist. From what I've heard.
I wouldn't say that. From what I've heard, and I've actually seen some of his campaign videos, I would align him more closely with Bernie Sanders and AOC right now than I would align him with a communist. Of course, he probably has read some Marx, clearly, with his whole idea of grocery stores that are controlled by the state. I wouldn't say that he is a full blown communist, though. He just doesn't seem as authoritarian as a communist would be, considering that I've actually talked to tankies and communists before.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, this guy won the primary, and now the Republicans on Fox News are freaking out because, oh my God, he's going to make the buses free, as if that's an effective campaign strategy, because they haven't campaigned at all. In fact, they've campaigned zero, and just now they're realizing, oh shit, we need the Republican candidate to do something. The Republican Party in New York City is very weak. They are actually a joke, pretty much. They haven't won a new seat in 23 years. Therefore, meaning it's very likely that Zorhan will actually win. Now, I've been watching some Larry Sharp, my good friend Larry Sharp, over on the Sharpway channel, and Larry Sharp actually says that Zorhan's his friend. And I would agree with Larry Sharp in the sense that best case scenario, some of Zorhan's policies actually change things. We do want to see things changed. We do want to see the establishment be taken on. That's good. Best case scenario, some things change, maybe for the better. Worst case scenario, we can point and laugh and say, see, I told you socialism doesn't work.
Yep.
I don't know. What do you think? Have you been paying attention to this Zorhan guy, TM Drake?
Not very much recently. Oh, you were asking Drake. Sorry.
Drake.
Not really as much as I should, but I'm just trying to read up on a manual here. Oh.
But yeah, I was not paying attention to the thing mainly because I've been mainly focused on other stuff, and then there's the fact that I've been somewhat focused in pretty much taking part in my live streams on my Outlaw and my Baddie Commander's channels.
Bellini. Sounds like.
And most of those, and of course, Outlaw. He mainly focuses on the problem of what men go through, and he does specifically refer to straight men, mainly because so sadly we don't really get much empathy nowadays. So he mainly talks about that.
I did hear New York is trying to change their policy, which is ticking off a lot of small businesses and having government sort of regulated or sponsored grocery and stuff like that to try to prevent price hiking, they call it, which really isn't the problem. It's the cost of our people is not really understanding the more you make our dollars, the more it's worth less and less. So.
Well, Ron Paul tried to warn them, I should say. Dr. Ron Paul, he tried to warn them. He told them to end the Fed. Donald Trump had the chance to end the Fed, and he didn't listen to Dr. Ron Paul. He didn't listen to Elon Musk. He decided to do his own thing, and now they're deciding to print trillions of dollars to give the military a $1 trillion budget.
Maybe we should make Elon for president next.
I wouldn't
it would
put you
probably
on.
be better. It would probably be better just to do Douglas McGregor. I do not trust both Trump and Musk.
Well, Elon
I'd probably agree
had a
with
little
I
bit
don't
of
think
Rex
anyone
on that.
does.
so,
What's up, Max?
I don't think anyone really trusts him any of those two anymore right now.
Not really. Yeah.
well, Elon's an
My
interesting
best.
tell you that for
Yeah, go
someone who
for it.
has a good amount of IQ for his age. So he's only 10 years ahead of me, almost exactly.
Oh, here's another thing I thought was kind of funny. Apparently Trump wants to give mothers about $5,000 for having a child. However, I believe the government had stated that for having a baby is at 12 weeks, but they won't give the mother any money until the baby is born. Which
To be
I
honest,
thought that was
the whole reason why they're doing it is just so that we men can at least have children. But the problem is that they are throwing money at the problem, and of course, as we all know, money does not automatically fix things. Sometimes you just have to go straight down to what is really causing the problem, and usually it is the culture that is somewhat causing the problem.
Here's another thing to account for. Um, they're doing this so then women want to have children, but at the same time, have you checked the prices for having a baby with everything from an epidural to just having the baby in a hospital? It can run you up to like 13 grand to even 2,000, like 20 grand just for having a baby.
Yeah,
And not on top of that,
and of course,
mothers won't even get
even and of course, even then, for fertility rates are like collapsing. So even then, in a way, is it really worth it if I and my own wife can't even have a child?
that's why I'm like my husband and I are contemplating about it, and we're just like, the money though, that's the problem. But then at the same time, they're just like, oh yeah, we'll give you $5,000. That ain't gonna cover it. That ain't covering it. Even with good health insurance, health insurance is another problem. Health insurance be like, oh yeah, we cover this we cover this hospital, but we won't cover the doctor that delivered your baby or the anesthesiologist. That could be another problem. Where if you find the hospital that are like, oh yeah, they're a
When I
network,
had
but they're not.
a anesthesiologist, they surge charged me, and I had to complain about that because they didn't actually let me know ahead of time what was covered and what wasn't. So I had to
That's
complain
why you
about
ask for an itemized bill too.
Yeah, I had to ask for that because they actually kind of hit it, and then all of a sudden I got this huge surge charge. And to be quite frank, and not talking like Rex over there, but the anesthesiologist may have screwed up my brain because I tend to do skipping a lot.
It's all good. I understand. But another thing is, like, my parents already had trouble. Like, they were having trouble even being able to take care of my brother and I, especially with I had to go into surgery. I've had like so many problems. Even with like even dental is another problem. Like people are like, oh yeah, we'll fix your teeth for like $5,000. What? That's like dental's a problem, health, anything. Like
You guys all raise a good point. You guys all raise a good point. I just want to say, Rex, you're right about the birth rate.
Now. Oh.
Yeah, and then another reason why we're also kind of experiencing it is also kind of due to the culture as well. Because thanks to feminism and of course younger generations getting more and more radicalized, there are some that are just now flat out Puritans. Hell, I mean by take a look at like some of the people in my own audience, both Yeet Meme and Pack 43, who are members in my server. They're full blown Puritans.
I'm
Meaning
from
they're essentially voluntarily celibate, basically, is what you're saying.
Yep, voluntarily celibate, and of course, even I have chosen to be voluntarily celibate, but that's because of one thing. Because even though yes, the fertility rates are declining, another reason why they are is due to one thing. STDs are now becoming more common, especially among women. In fact, there's a study that has said that STDs are now more common among women than men now, and I am not
because you don't want to protect
risking.
Go for it, Max.
And I am not risking of getting syphilis and possibly dying from it.
Here's another thing.
Okay,
The
Max.
reason that it's causing this is because there's like doctors who like for like IUDs. That's the problem. Like some doctors will give you like an IUD, but at the same time, like sometimes that can cause an infection due to it having it in you. And also on top of that, women are like, "Oh, it's okay. We don't have to have a condom." Put the fucking condom on. Sorry for my sorry for my language, but at the same time, like, dang, just it's that simple. Just wear a condom. Like I get like, guys are like, "Oh, I don't like the feeling of it." Like, too damn bad.
Condom balloons are fun.
From my point of view, I'm bisexual. I'm in a relationship with a femboy. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we're clean. We only do the do with each other, but still, like, STDs is like, you know, we talk about it and we're like, hey, we should probably wear some protection. And we're thinking, look, you can't get a femboy pregnant. In this day and age, you just can't afford to have a child at this point. They've made it unaffordable. They make it so that you know that when you bring a child into this world, that you know you have to pay thousands of dollars. It's costs something like almost most people's salaries, entire like 2 or 3 years worth of salaries
Yeah, you
to
got
raise
the food,
kid.
all that other fun stuff as well, the responsibility, and if you decide to get a house, just because it sounds like a good investment, you've got maintenance, car, all that stuff's got maintenance. Now, let's say
Here's another
then
thing.
there's the
I might
then
go
there's
for
the
a dog.
fact that it's also then there's the whole, you know, such as I said again, and I will say this again, the culture, even the whole culture is seemingly all anti-natalist once you take a look at it. And then another reason why some people, such as a Chaos for You, a streamer I watch, there's a reason why he won't choose to have children, and it's due to one thing, and it's true. Our own government does not view children as humans. They view them as cattle to be raised and turned into wage slaves, just like us.
The
They view
workforce,
us as
not
cattle to be
supplies.
turned into wage slaves.
You have to have a proper good
Yeah.
divide between the 9 to 5 work and working for your future versus working as a slave. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Working
And
for
then there's the
you want to work and provide
there's
for
the fact.
society.
Oh, go for it. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Then there's the fact that we look at the just the Republican Party. We're gonna pick on them for a little bit. We're gonna look at the Republican Party right now, and they basically see that, oh, you know, it's a child until it's born, and then we don't give a fuck about it until it turns 18, and we're gonna send it off to the military. I think there's some lyrics from this song that I want to
That
to
is
say
time
on
to read.
stream. Yeah. There's some lyrics from a song that I want to say on stream that basically summarizes what has basically gone on with society that makes us, in our generation, not want to have kids. And it's from the song by Bob Dylan called "Masters of War," and it's a middle paragraph. It says this: "You have thrown the worst fear that can ever be hurled, fear to bring children into the world. For threatening my baby, unborn and unnamed, you ain't worth the blood that runs through your veins." That was written in 1962 and still rings true to this day.
Yeah.
That says a
And
lot about
already,
the two-party system.
here's another thing. I know for a fact that China, Japan, and like Russia and so many other countries are like trying to not have too many kids in the place because overpopulation. We're already at 8 billion people. We're a little bit over 8 billion people now.
China had
The
Mhm.
thing is
one.
that the whole entire
Wait, wait, one at a
population
time, guys.
collapse is coming anyway. There are like videos pointing out that the whole population collapse. Yeah, it's gonna come. So yeah, have as many children as you want. It won't stop it.
So how
Yeah,
many is
and
Elon up now? He's trying to
if I could
repopulate.
if I could talk about something that I've noticed, I don't know if you guys have heard of. I think his name is Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, Charlie
Oh,
Kirk.
If you
him?
guys, yeah, I will say I do not align with most of his views, like especially with like children and stuff. He he even was incorrect about one thing that he said. Fetus in Latin does not mean human, little human or little human baby. It means just baby. It could be. It just means baby. It does not mean like human baby. Nothing. I got upset with that, like, because I tried to learn Latin once before, and I even looked up the meaning. I was like, wait a second, that doesn't sound right. And he was incorrect about it. And he has not addressed that at all, because, and he thinks that women should not have abortions, even if they're a child. He rather them, if it's an 8-year-old girl who was, trigger word here, raped, they should just have the child. That I do not agree with at all, because it could be detrimental to the 8-year-old and to the baby. It could kill both of them for it. And it is just disgusting, cuz girls can get their period up to like even 7 years old. And I've noticed like people like, "Oh, well, they're 8 years old, that means they're a woman. If they have their period, they're a woman." Like, no. That's not what creates a woman. A woman would be someone who is over 18. Someone who is an adult. Not a child who are just menstruating. That was my problem, and I'm mad. I'm upset with it. I don't know how your guys' views are on this, but it is to the point where that's where women are like, yeah, no, we're not having children. And especially abortions are already expensive. There's about they're like about $3,000 for an abortion. Plan B is okay, but sometimes doesn't work. Some birth control doesn't work. Even condoms, there are 99% chance for most of them. For like all things. Even if you have both of them, it could still be there's that 1% chance that you could still get pregnant. That's why people are very cautious with it. But at the same time, people can also be dumb. I will say that.
And Rexus, you take it away.
Yeah, with the whole entire abortion thing, I think most people know my views on it, and that's because, well, I am truly against it, and that's because of the whole history behind it. And let's just say, yes, there are the concerns behind with the whole rape stuff, but even I question the whole true validity behind those, because, well, sadly, just like in most false accusations, sometimes they just do do it just to get the money. But that's just me.
But the thing is, even if you're getting an abortion, it's just expensive to have one. And on top of it, you can only get an abortion when you're in your first trimester, usually. Like, there's times where they'll do an abortion, like, later if it's detrimental and it will kill the woman or kill the baby if you have it, so they will have to like, end it. But at the same time, there's also recently there's been a higher chance for miscarriages in general.
Hey, Cole.
Yo.
My own friend Handcup is currently asking me if I can invite him to your server. So can I?
Yeah, go for it, man. Handcup's chill. I like Handcup. He's a nice guy. Yeah, okay, since you're inviting him to the server, I guess I'll give you a moderate's perspective on this, this abortion issue, since obviously Rexus Prime has taken the against abortion side, and obviously you, Max, have taken the for abortion side. I'll give a moderate's perspective. I mean, I believe in the three exceptions is rape, incest, and the life of the mother or child. I also believe that yes, we should probably have restrictions on abortion up to a certain point, and those restrictions should be probably after the second trimester, I would think, unless the mother's or baby's life is in danger, considering like an eclectic baby or something like that, or the need for a C-section, intestines could get wrapped around the baby's throat or something like that. You may have to sacrifice one life for the life of the other, and that should be up to the doctors ultimately. Really not for the state coming in and saying, oh, this is what you should do and what you shouldn't do with your body. But I do prefer adoption or using the pill or condom first before resulting to abortion. I think abortion should be the last, case scenario. Obviously, in those three exceptions should be the main abortions.
Yeah. I just, from what I understand, I have the problem is just because there's already a lot of children out there that don't have homes, and the foster system is fucked up.
Because I agree with you. Reform foster care. Reform that shit. Like, give it some funding, reform it, and like actually make it so children go to good homes. I've met foster care kids before, and they would all agree with me. Reform foster care. Don't destroy it. Don't break it with a sledgehammer. Something that somebody crazy might try to do if they became president. But actually reform it instead. Actually take the time to look into it, see the problems. Clearly, kids are going to wrong homes. Clearly, kids are jumping from home to home. Let's reform foster care. Handcup just joined the chat. What's up, Handcup?
Feels good. Handcup.
Jeez, we have a packed chat tonight. Drake Dragon, what's your opinion on abortion?
I'm actually more of the against it, against abortion, with the exception of the same rules that you mentioned, that if a life's in danger. At the same time, it's like having someone that's at least on our local country, born here in the US, go through our entire education system, which I'm probably not going to experience at my age if I ever have kids, because I'm 40. But if that's the case, the kid will be better off to learn how the US actually works an economy before he makes a decision of when to spend money and when to vote and all the other stuff. Because people who are coming in and given the ticket to vote freely and all those other things may not know the tools of our trade. How we got here.
Okay. I understand, like, okay, I see that you guys, I've seen, like, a lot of you guys here are already against it, abortion. Not everyone, but
I'm not against,
believe it should. You're kind of like, you're like, there is some, like, okay, yeah, abortion should be here, but at the same time, here's some other causes.
As a surgery, I basically view it as a surgery that may or may not be medically necessary. However, I do think that it should be used as a last case scenario because you are
Yeah.
taking the life of a living, breathing thing. You must realize that.
Also,
It
from
also is
like, if I may say, um, you guys also think about the mental note. Like mentally, a woman should be ready to have a child. They should be able to, if they want to have a child, they should be mentally able to, because the thing is, having childbirth can be traumatic. It can be very traumatic. Even motherhood can be traumatic throughout it, especially with like they are getting like in. This is gonna be a little graphic. The woman will get torn. Her cervix will be torn. Her entire body down there will be torn, and they still will stitch it up. But at the same time, it is excruciating pain. It is like really high on the scales of like pain. And I've had men, I've had women be like, "Oh, childbirth is not painful." It is painful. Like, even with C-sections, it still can be painful, especially if they don't know if you should have a C-section first, if they should put you in a C-section. Most of the time, they'll try to be like, "Oh, let's try to do it naturally. Don't even use an epidural," but then they do the epidural, and then later they'll find out the child is not coming out the right way, so they have to do a C-section. I still think women should be able. In my opinion, it should be up to women who decide what they should do with their body. Especially, I've had people like, "Oh no, women should. This is a thing that men have created. This should be our decision on what we should do." No, it is a problem where I've had many people say, "Oh, abortion shouldn't be legal," and I can somewhat see why, but at the same time, it is childbirth is a procedure where the woman is not even under anesthesia, and where they are experiencing everything. They're seeing everything is going on. They are scared of what's happening to their body. They don't understand it completely, especially if it's your first child. They're like confused about the pain, but they know what it's for. There's even some women who've actually passed out during it. It is a trauma, and I've known mothers who've gone through therapy due to this trauma. So being mentally prepared for it should be like one of the big things also. Mentally prepared, like even people who are not able to take care of a child their own. Yes, we could be like, okay, you can still have the child, but you got to put him in foster care. That's still the problem. Like, foster care is already fucked up as is. Orphanage is already fucked up. They're not doing enough research on people who they're giving the children to. They might say like, "Oh yeah, we're doing enough research." No, they're doing little bits at a time. And most of the time, I've seen a lot of people who have gone through foster care and the parents who foster the kids are just doing it for the money. But if I would say having the mother be mentally prepared for the pain. If it's a child who was raped and ends up being pregnant, especially since you can get periods so young, and also on top of it, if it's detrimental to a life to another.
And I want to say like one thing. It might be slightly
Yeah,
off
go for it.
topic. We're sort of related to like foster care and stuff, but child protective services needs a reform. Like,
Yes, they do.
yeah, like literally my childhood years, we've been like running into like CPS, like due to some people like trying to take me away from my family and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I
mean, oh, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
I feel like that they need to reform it, especially with like most of the time with CPS, they don't even look at like they don't care what you're mentally feeling. They just like look around your house and be like, "Oh, okay, it's fine." But inside, it could be the child who is being mentally abused and just and there's nothing to like show for it. Even if there's self-harm scars on the child, it doesn't mean anything. They will look, if the child got a black eye from a parent, then yeah, they're going to take them, but mentally the child could be hurting and the parents are just not putting hands on them just because they're like, we can hurt you mentally, no one can do anything about it. And usually with those things that happen, a lot of people and a lot of those kids end up like ending their lives. And I should know because I've had friends who've died due to the fact that CPS didn't do anything for them and just made it worse. So I think that the foster system needs to be reworked. The CPS needs to be reworked. Everything with childcare should be reworked. Even schools, because they just teach you about the like shapes and like how to read, but they don't teach you like other things when you grow up. They don't teach you anything about taxes. They don't teach you anything about how to file for a house. They don't teach you how to do anything other than the Pythagorean theorem.
Wait, are you like talking about like school?
Yeah, school.
Okay.
My school
Basically
doesn't even
talking
teach
about
that.
the entirety of childcare.
Okay.
Huh?
One thing. Okay,
There
here's
was
one
a class
thing.
I had to take called Home Economics.
In my
Covers that
my
stuff.
junior. Oh, sorry. Here, continue what you
Oh.
said. Oh.
Well, you're a lot older, so that explains why you had it. But me,
Florida
no.
schools. We had it in Florida schools. Yeah,
All right.
But they don't
So
have it
in
anymore.
I guess not.
in my junior high school, we did learn a bit about taxes and stuff. But here's the thing: I've completely forgot all about it. Like this was in the 9th grade. I learned about taxes and stuff. I mean, I besides put 3 more years of school stuff, you'll intend to like forget about it. Schools expect us to like remember that stuff from like 9th grade, but I can barely remember anything I learned back then.
More vitamin B
Yeah.
complex. Helps with memory.
Oh my god.
Now I'm forgetting
Oh.
stuff too, so I can understand.
See, I just think that it all needs to be reworked and like people need to like step back and like, okay, what do we need to do for the children? What is really important to learn? Like reading is one of the big things. Instead of like teaching us how to, like in Alaska, they don't teach you how to do taxes. Instead, they teach you how to do cursive because it's more important than taxes or filing for a house or getting car insurance or any insurance.
Getting the filing for a house and some of that stuff didn't quite get covered in some of our home economics. For us was more about how to take care of like family related stuff. We had some basic cooking, emergencies and things like that. But as far as taxes, a little bit was in math, but they were covering more of the science math that was used for technology rather than the statistical math, even though if you could have went in that direction, in some case taken accounting, I did not know that. I did take a business class in junior high. I'll admit that I didn't do so well in it because I couldn't understand how to make profit. Now that you learn what profit and all this other stuff is, you kind of figure out, oh, it's really not that hard, but it kind of breaks what you think of math. Like I said, math works better for engineering, and you're right. It doesn't really set you up for the personal lifestyle of things, but it does set you up for the more intelligent and other things as well. But like I said, to each their own, and hopefully I mix with someone who actually did take a lot of family responsibility and things like that.
Yeah.
I will say I'm an older sister, so I had to be. I'm an older sister who had to help take care of my brother. I also had to help take care of two of my cousins. I'm in school. We don't have home ec. We have like a culinary class, and then we have some like arts, but with like, and then we have economics. But the thing is, with economics, they teach you about consumer economics. They don't teach you about how to do anything useful unless you take business. But even then, they don't teach you how to like, okay, this is how to file for taxes. How do you make sure you can put your how much you need to make for even with tax? Nothing.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
I took home economics too back in middle school. It was a really long time ago. Basically, all they did was teach us how to cook and how to sew. Like they didn't really teach us that much about the home. I did end up taking an actual economics class in high school, and even then they just kind of like part of it. The only thing I really remember was that it taught us the difference between capitalism and socialism and communism, and then after that they taught us they taught us like a little bit about like different jobs and stuff in the economy, and they taught us like, oh, this is what a businessman does, and this is what like this is how not to wisely spend your money. You should put your money in a savings account, some common sense stuff. And then they taught us like at the end was like they had us like look on Zillow at different houses that we none of us could ever afford. So none of us actually took the assignment seriously, but we looked at like houses on Zillow.
Yeah, I felt that way too with everything so expensive when I was younger as well. So they never
See, I
really
never
taught
sorry, you go first.
they never really taught us how the economy works, and they only taught you how to be more of a trade, which is true because you need to get skills to be productive. But about 10 to 15 years into it, that's when I started to realize I need to change my lifestyle if I ever going to have a +1 in my life.
Yeah.
I have like
I will. Oh,
Sorry,
you go first.
Pink cup.
You go first. You go ahead.
sorry, I have terrible timing. Forgive me on that. But have y'all heard of this thing called like bonsai? But not like the Japanese thing. It's like this like home economic thing where
Yeah.
you like take like you have to take like lessons and stuff. I think part of it was about like taxes and all that. But did anyone else like have to do that during school?
We didn't have that, but I've heard of it. But I will say something. I graduated in 2024. I'm the graduating class of 2024. We did not have a home ec. We did not have anything. I wish we did. The only economics I took was business, and that was a middle college I went to, and they just did nothing. Really, they just like, oh yeah, here, we're gonna learn how to make a business, we're gonna go sell things, and you're gonna make sure you know how to use with like supply and demand and everything. Like, okay, cool. Didn't teach us anything about supply and demand really. It was like a really difficult to learn. It was like all hands on learning, but at the same time, like I need to learn how to do like other things inside this class. But the reason that they don't teach us taxes in school is apparently like a bunch of parents were like, oh yeah, we're supposed to teach our kids, not you. We're supposed to teach them that. But nowadays, parents don't teach the kids anything about it. They're just like, let the school teach them. And I don't understand it much, but
Yeah, I don't
it's
understand taxes either. That's why I do my taxes on TurboTax. Sure, you have
same.
Sure, you have to pay them a couple $100, but hey, at least you get your taxes done right in an easy and timely fashion, and you get your return, which is kind of worth the 200 or so bucks you spend on the actual doing the taxes on TurboTax. Your return of about $800 to $700 or so, if you're working on a minimum wage job, is probably worth it.
Yeah, minimum wage here is like $12.50 an hour.
Oh, what's up, Drake?
So
I don't know what about you guys.
it helps on doing all the LLCs and all the other contract work too as well you do, because people don't realize that contract work when you take money on the side is still taxable too. And worse comes to worse, if you take it on PayPal's and all and eBay and all the other stuff, you have additional stuff to file. This is one of those things where I got hit by back in 2014 when I got with an artist and did the toy business. The artist got paid, and then about a year later, tax says, Uncle Sam, you owe Uncle Sam still.
Yeah, Uncle Sam's still asking my ass, I think, for like $12 or something. And I'm like, fucking forgive it, Uncle Sam. It's fucking $12.
File an amendment. It's not hard. TurboTax will do it for you.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
I'm looking at like the minimum wage for most places. Apparently, the lowest minimum wage place you can go to is Oklahoma, which is if you're a larger employee, it's $7.25, but if you're a smaller employee, it's $2. And like the highest is Washington D.C., which is $17, or just Washington at 16.28. Alaska, if I'm looking right now, yeah, it's $11.73.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. So if I look for, let's see, I'm looking for Hawaii right now because I don't see it. Where is it? I saw it a minute ago, but I'm looking at every state right now. Here, I'll send the website in Discord for you guys.
I'm gonna
So
send it
you guys can have it.
here where you just post memes.
Send it where?
You see the corner on the show chat? You can send it here.
Show chat?
Yeah, you see you go up to the corner and it says show chat.
Oh, this. Yeah, okay. This is the website I went to, and this is
That's a
The
mouthful.
only thing I fear about the only thing.
Oh, Hawaii's at 14.
Tornadoes.
What did you say?
Huh?
Sorry.
Hawaii is at $14. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. The only thing you have to fear in Oklahoma is tornadoes. That's roughly about it.
Tornadoes. Yeah, they're crazy over there. That and their government is
it's getting worse where I'm at.
Their government has been so Republican in every single seat for so long that they've just basically become generic Republican, basically. So they're kind of I'd say they're decades behind a lot of the other states in everything.
I've been to Oklahoma a few times, and I have a few friends that live out that way. Peace Wolf is out that way. I run into her from time to time on some of the gaming community. But yeah, I guess I should ask her if that's true. That if it's 7.25, but if she knows anyone that gets paid that low, or everyone's getting around 12 or so on average to maybe 14. Because I know when California was 7.50, I took whatever job I can, even at 7.50, because I just needed some work.
Mm.
The year I was already up to 15.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
learned.
like, I didn't know anyone at that age. Yeah.
I learned
So.
recently I got a pay bump from $14 and like 15 cents to $16 recently. So not too bad.
Yeah, I'm only
shabby.
making like $14.
That's still pretty good.
The
I
minimum
mean,
wage
it's
for
I
depends
mean-
on what living in is really for you. If you try to run your own business, then it's not guaranteed, but you could use that as a bargaining chip towards your next job, though, because you do have experience in trying to handle some of the tasks and hopefully learning taxes, like you said. Like I didn't know either when I grew up.
I mean, with Hawaii and Alaska, it's like really expensive to live up here, live anywhere here. I mean, like I was like looking at like houses everywhere in Alaska. There's houses that are going for like $4 million in Alaska, and I was like, what? And they're like
Yeah,
in the
but
most dangerous spots also, but that's too much. And even with like an apartment for like a 1-bedroom apartment, it's like $500 a month. And when it comes to like even if you're doing like huh?
Studio for us is $2,000 if you're lucky to even get a kitchen in it.
Yeah, for me, a studio is
That's without a kitchen. That's without like a laundry room or a kitchen too. No laundry, no kitchen. That's just it's like basically like a living space and a room and a bathroom. That's it. And it's like $500 a month. And if you're living off of the minimum wage, you're not gonna be able to. Because you're about to you're like basically making like probably like $400, maybe $200 each paycheck. depending on how many hours, and if you're working like customer service or like any host, any like food service job, maybe plus tips. But I work in a part-time job at like an inventory service where I count inventory all the time, and I hardly get any hours. I like get like, it really depends on what we have for work.
Yeah.
That sucks.
You're doing inventory job, and if it's less than 8 hours, so it's a part-time job, you got some time to do some other research. And like I said, maybe inventory may not be your thing, but it does involve math and probably some management skills, I think.
Well, I love numbers. I love numbers. I will say that, but I'm only working there for now because I'm gonna, when my husband gets out of boot, I'm gonna be living with him. So
cool.
I don't know where, I don't know what country or state we're gonna be in, but hey,
at least you'll be.
I'll be able to. I'm not gonna be. Yeah, I'm just pretty much gonna do is just, as soon as I live with him, I told him I'm gonna do all the housework, I'm gonna do school, and that's it. Because I need to be able to focus on what I want to do, especially if I want to build my business. I need to be able to get my culinary degree and my business degree.
You got a whole career life ahead of you to figure that out. I remember that age when I was 20. Been a while ago, unfortunately. I got into computers is what it is, even though I wanted to do electronics, but I ended up doing computers.
Did you know at 20 years it means that you're considered ancient, or not ancient, vintage?
I ended up feeling too well because the breaking point was about 2 years ago. I'm 23, but prior to that, I was pretty much, you can ask Nomadic Cole. I think we've been chatting on and off since since the last presidency, like 2021 or 2, if I remember.
Yeah, about 2020
went by fast,
is when I really got on my Discord game, and I think I set up this server around 2021. But we've been chatting since the conservative furry server. That was way back. I know you met me back then, but yeah, a lot has happened those days. I'm not gonna bring those days up anymore.
Oh, we don't want to talk about that person. We don't want to talk about that. Okay.
We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, so I've been longer, but the last 5 years blew through quick and really aged me a lot, unfortunately.
I feel so freaking old.
Yeah, yeah, I think we all just kind of feel old now. I mean, Generation Beta is already starting this year. It's being born this year.
That's crazy.
Well, the good news is
I mean, I could make you guys feel old right now. I could make you guys feel old. You know that?
Make us feel old right now. Make us feel old.
No, I don't really feel old.
I am as old as YouTube. I am as old as YouTube. I was born the same year YouTube was made.
I was born the same year when Halo 3 released.
Oh!
I was born in the same year my favorite metal group, Slayer, had its biggest hit in '83.
Oh, you're
Metal.
And
I'm also as old as Red Bull too.
Handcup, how old are you?
The day before Smash Bros. Brawl released.
You were born the day Smash Bros.
How old are you? I'm 19. How old are you? Damn.
17.
I'm 18.
Smash Bros. Brawl
released the world, Rex.
Smash Bros. Brawl released in.
I was adult you, Rex.
In 2008.
If you really want to feel old, tell a younger sibling. Do you know what a VCR is?
I know what a VCR is.
I know
VCR? What about a Betamax or a Univac?
Wait, no. Here's one. No, a floppy disk.
That's what I was gonna say.
Which size? 8-inch or the 3-inch hard floppy?
I was thinking the 3-inch one, or both of them.
True. I used to remember just drilling a hole and making them high density so I can cheat.
Oh my god! Oh wait, no! Give a kid. Tell them to burn a CD.
You literally,
if they know how to burn a CT.
you literally keep stealing my idea.
CDR.
They're gonna be like, they'll burn it.
Yeah.
Like, literally. Sorry.
Go for it.
A
Actually,
CD.
CDs are still used today by a lot of people, but because of the new streaming media and the newer technology, they're kind of now considered a thing
Outdated.
still. But I did like the CD art
He's
though.
considered relics now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
but, like,
seem to be because none
Streaming
of my
services are only made for us to pretty much own nothing and be happy when you think about it.
communism.
No, you know the worst thing? If you want to feel old, tell a kid to try to use a Nintendo 64 controller.
No, I
What
will
are
try
those?
to ask them. I will try to ask them this. Do you know of the Golden Girls show?
Golden Girls, I love Golden Girls.
I literally call that
I will
show
be
the
dead
old
when I
people
have no
show
idea
because
what
it's
it
a
is.
show about old people. And now that I look at it now, like they were old back then when that show was around, and now I look at it now and I'm like, they were old back then, and now they're all dead.
They're dead.
Yeah, that's the feeling I'm getting
No,
now. Some old Star Trek episodes, including the old, which I'm surprised. I think he's still alive. The one in the 1960s Star Trek. What's his name? The guy, the Priceline guy. I think he's still alive. Actually, the one play the captain. I can't remember on top of my head. No.
yeah, when
At
I was
least-
my dad the first thing he taught me how to do was like, here, play this, and it's like Majora's Mask. Literally Majora's Mask, and I'm just like, I still can't beat it.
Yeah.
I have never met anyone who's ever beaten the game.
I don't know. I like beating Armed and Dangerous from like 2003, and that game can be pretty difficult, especially since that you know how my game controls are whenever you look up and down, and how they're normal, and there's you inverting them where up is down and down is up. Well, with that game, you have to invert the look controls because the default ones are where, well, up is down, down is up.
Crazy. Hey, has anyone here ever played like a SNES or a Genesis or one of those like old NES? Like, some of y'all might know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah.
you know, like those old Nintendo consoles and stuff. Like,
I've played a Super Nintendo.
I sadly have not.
I played on
I
a
played
retro.
Genesis.
I know that, like, I was like playing a game on
Yes.
the Nintendo Switch. So I know, like, on the Nintendo Switch, you can get like a pack where you're able to play all the nostalgic games from like the 80s and 90s and all that. But I was playing one of them. I think it was Dr. Mario, and I had like a bunch of kids who were like watching me, like, "What are you playing?" Like, "Oh, Dr. Mario." Mario's not a doctor.
Bro.
It's an old game. It was a competitive game against the Tetris community because Tetris was a very popular game, and if you go even to the 80s, it was prior to that, there's pinballs and all the other stuff. So in the 90s, we had pinballs, Tetris, and we had a few games that were strategy games popping up. Strategy games are like war games where you plan
If
Stand and
if you
Conqueror.
really, no.
Yes.
Long before Command and Conquer, there was one game that no one talks about, and yet it gave birth to the whole RTS genre. Dune 2, the sequel
Yes.
to,
Oh.
well, the 80s Dune film.
Because there
So
was Doom, and then prior to that was Wolfenstein and that direction of the FPS genres, and before they made it more
I
story.
have both Wolfenstein 3D
Well,
and
here's a
Doom,
funny story.
both Doom 1
No.
and 2 on Steam.
Here's a funny story. So my mom, when she was pregnant with me, she was playing Doom. So she decided to play. It was like 3 in the morning, and she had all the lights off. She had surround sound speakers and everything, and she decided to play Doom. It scared the fuck out of her. I was like, "Mom, you like horror? How the fuck can you not handle this?" And I'm like playing it. I'm like, "Oh, this is really cool." And I'm playing in the dark, surround sound and everything. Nothing. It doesn't phase me. The game doesn't fucking phase me. And I'm looking at her. I'm like, "Mom, I'm almost the same age as you almost had
About
me."
10 years ago, a lot of that kind of broke off, but in my 20s, yeah, and also being a former ghost hunter and still a ghost hunter too, with tinnitus in my ears, that does not help with annoying ring. You do when you listen to really pure quiet, which I don't get anymore because I lost some hearing for some accidents recently. But because before that, I had really sensitive ears, and you could hear a pin drop. So you love hearing like the small, slightest tone, and a jump scare would just freak you out, and you'd love the heart racing with coffee and whatever and playing that. But after a while, you just get so used to it. And then I went to ghost hunting and all this other stuff. We're literally crawling through the dark.
See,
So
with me, I can't hear. I cannot hear the sounds. I cannot hear silence. I hear everything, and it
well, what
sucks.
it
At the
is, it's
same
not
time, I'm deaf.
silence here. But what it is, and I didn't realize this, but if you're hyper intelligent, your brain has a tendency to have these cells that can sort that information out, which gave me the multitasking capability. That's why now I can talk. My brain works almost like Rex's brain now because I'm having trouble staying as focused as I used to. I can still focus again. I don't know what happened about a few months back from the last time I talked with Nomadic Cole, but I'm like running into this thing where noise kind of confuses me so much. So I now have to try to work on more of the focus. But I used to be able to listen to music, metal music, someone talking in the other room, and get all three things all uncrossed at the same time. That's why listening to slightest sound, I would get a lot of noise and a lot of stuff, but I would have pretty good filtering capabilities of ignoring it. But now with the small amount of ringing starting to develop the last couple of years, which tells me my hearing might be going out. And yeah, the days of concerts might be over for me because I shouldn't really expose my ear to any loud noises. But during my 20s, I did go to a lot of concerts, even took my friends out a few times. And we got pit tickets to Slayer concerts and metal concerts and all sorts of fun stuff. So
Yeah. I haven't been to a concert yet. I want to. I'm
Either.
right now. I've been wanting to see like a bunch of stuff, but at the same time, like if everything has been changing too much at this point, I think
what's on the planet now?
it's changed too much. Like I need to go back. I need to go back to being a child playing playing Nintendo 64 games on my dad's old Nintendo 64 and drinking bug juice. Bug juice is gone. I'm sad about that actually.
Wait, they
If you
actually
guys
got rid of bug
I remember
juice?
Red 40.
for years, it's been gone. It's been
What?
discontinued years ago.
Oh, no way, no way. Like,
In 2015.
Rip bug juice.
Hey, my toy store was
bug juice was
Radio
around
Shack,
past
so I
2015.
know the feeling way too much. That was my toy store, was Radio Shack, believe it or not.
I think we still have a Radio Shack up in Alaska.
I've heard there may be even a Blockbuster up there too.
No, we don't have a Blockbuster anymore.
Someone
It's in
someone just
California now.
There's only one left.
I thought that was in Alaska.
I miss Shakey's.
I'm pretty sure that the last blockbuster in the Midwest.
I will say something that will probably get you guys sad. So you know Party City? It's gone.
Rip.
They
No.
shut down months ago.
No, Party
Oh,
City
I feel
is
so
closed
old.
to their stores due to the
No,
but
because I have
there's a
Party City up here.
The
You're gonna
sad thing is
laugh
that
at this
got to
because
go
one of the
to Party
customers
City
that
North.
used to be private accountant I worked with actually had the other competitor and they were doing accounting office for us. So we knew when Party City bought that other competitor, like Party Everywhere, I can't remember. There's a chain store that popped up like 100 stores. And then about 5 years after that, I think they were bought out by Party City for expansion, but because Party City is right next to the stores, they shut down half of the stores. They were right next to it. But yeah, that was you're right. Party City has actually reduced the number of stores. I'm not saying that I do run into those ombre party stores that are popping up everywhere and where they get their supplies and lots of jumpers and big inflatable things too as well.
Hey, for the people that live in the lower 48, give us back Build-A-Bear.
Build-A-Bear.
No, we still have Build-A-Bear, but the
Yeah, we still
computer
have
to
Give it
them is
back.
make it.
No, give it back. We need it.
Friend,
We need it up here.
and I have, which actually I do know their supplier. If you do find that Make a Friend store is actually the Bear Mill, but they don't carry any of the stuff I saw
We
when I
don't
was
have one
younger.
of those.
So you can order
Oh,
from
here's
them
another thing.
directly, but you can't order any limited edition stuff that are either going to be at the store or, in case you might not know, the Disney Springs in Florida has a dinosaur, like a rainforest and a dinosaur version of that, and they do carry the Build-A-Bear products, but exclusively made dinosaurs by the same company. Because I did get a
Yeah.
chance to run by their office in Wichita, Kansas one year and said hi. And I noticed that.
Here's
Okay, so I have like a little theory-ish in a sense about how how kids back then were like playing toys. Now it's just electronics. I feel like that was intentionally orchestrated.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but I have too many toys myself. I might have to donate it to some kids that like to experience the dragons I did. I still
I
love
still
my
have Beanie
Duracell.
Babies.
Yeah, I feel like it was intentionally orchestrated just to control the population.
It
You know, I
always
still have
is.
Beanie Babies.
Hey, Hank, like I mean by if you want to know a way to really control a population, take a look at Coco Melon.
Coco Melon.
That's the way to control a population.
See,
That's a
how you
way to
control
really
Gen- that's how you-
control.
That's how you control Gen Alpha, okay? Gen Alpha that's how you control Gen Alpha. You want to control Gen Z? Give them vapes.
Vapes. Or
yeah,
iPhone.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Skibidi toilet as the
Skibbity.
Or mostly, Max, you are right. But what is
How you
the thing
control me?
that will control? But what's the thing that will control me?
Video games.
No. Think of something a bit more dark and grungy.
music.
Oh,
Black
Handcuff.
Yes,
Ever
Gothic.
heard
Hey,
of
Gothic mommy.
Zron? What?
Gothic women with
No.
big tits.
No, it is much more of Zron. If you do not know, Zron is some death metal band from Poland, and let's just say this: Death Camp Earth is a good album.
Okay. Also, how about
I
this?
like the death metal.
For you guys, everyone who I don't know how many states have I don't know if Hawaii has a Red Lobster, but please bring a Red Lobster up here. We'll teach them how to fucking cook fish because you guys don't know how to cook it.
Thank you.
Did you just suggest that
We'll bring it up
Hawaii
here.
doesn't know how to cook fish?
You guys don't know how to cook fish. I didn't say
No.
Hawaii doesn't.
We-
Hawaii actually knows how to cook it.
We know how to make fish, my friend. We
But
are
Alaska,
the fishermen.
it's mostly.
You,
You guys have disgusting salmon. They have
Hey,
disgusting salmon.
at least I have catfish.
in Hawaii? No,
We have catfish up here too. We have bass, catfish,
Yeah.
trout. We have cod. We also got halibut and salmon.
we've got
You think we don't have catfish?
Pretty much
Have you
Utah,
seen
but
a rainbow
cold.
trout?
we've got tuna, we got mahi mahi, we got ono, we got all sorts of delicious fish. We cook it all the time, man. It's so great. Like we know how to make the fish really good, and we actually know the
But I know how to cook salmon.
way to eat fish raw as well. So we have that as well going for us. You gotta
Also,
come here and try the fish.
I went down to the lower 48. I went to even one in California, Colorado, and I was even in Nevada. Okay? Y'all don't know how to cook fish properly. Okay, I went to eat your salmon each time. I went to eat salmon to see if they were different. No, it all was gross. And I asked him, like, where do you guys get your salmon? we don't know. We just know it's really good. I'm like, okay, what type of salmon is it? Red. I'm like, this ain't red. If you guys are thinking this is a red salmon, you think this is, you think it's that? No, it's not called. This is not it. See, it's not sockeye. It's not
pink salmon, most likely.
Yeah, and it's disgusting. Pink salmon is disgusting. Get red or silver. That is the best salmon you can have. Red, silvers are the best, and even king salmon. Okay. So sockeye.
My own brother usually eats the orange salmon.
That's pink.
Oh, yeah, pink. With me, I personally do not care about salmon.
Obsessions.
For
Yes.
I
Okay, so
for salmon, it's all right. I'm sure red salmon's delicious, Max. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. But the pink salmon that I've had, it's all right. It's just a little dry. That's why over here where we're from, when we have salmon, we put lemon on it.
Yeah, you're supposed to put lemon on it. Also, I now figured out how to kidnap TM Drake. Just get a bunch of things that are dragon. Be like, ooh, dragon. Ooh, dragon. Tell me I'm wrong.
Collected as much in the last year, but yes, every time I saw things with a dragon, I'd buy it. That's why I started making my own set of toys. But yeah, it was like I go to the Renaissance Fair and like, oh, I want that goblet. So I collected like 20 something and had an entire office in downtown LA of goblets and things like that.
See, the thing, you have a horde. You are like a dragon with a horde of dragons. If I'm a dragon, my horde would either be dice, crystals, or vapes.
What was handcuffed?
Mine
To be honest with me, and I think Handcuff would know this very well. I would pretty much be hoarding old ancient artifacts, definitely not relating to a certain symbol that the Germans wore back in the 1940s, even though it was also worn by Jews themselves.
Was it like the Black Sun or something, or?
No, swastika. Come on, swastika.
See, okay. Hey, you know what's really funny though? I have Jewish blood in me. I'm a redhead. I am a woman. I also am pagan. What has happened to all of them in the past?
They
have all died in some way.
Hey, take a look at me. Not exactly all redhead, but there is a bit of auburn in there.
Head.
I'm a soulless ginger.
Yeah, but still, even with me, even I have that Jewish blood, but it is easily outnumbered by the Chad British blood. If you all want to know why, just to let you know, despite the fact of how pretty Germanic the Anglo-Saxons are, those people have more Roman DNA than the fucking Italians. I am more Roman. I am more Roman than the Italians.
Here's another thing. When I was so whenever I play games, if you guys probably have heard Rainbow Six Siege X. Or Rainbow Six Siege, it used to be called.
X.
Because now it's free to play now, and it's they changed it because they changed so much of it. So they're like, oh yeah, it's now the new Rainbow Six Siege X or Siege X. They just added X to it, and they changed like a bunch of the graphics and like all that stuff. However, every time I play, there is a character called Smoke, and basically he has like mustard gas canisters, so he throws them and like activates them, and it's basically this yellow dust that comes around and kills people. Every time my friends play it, they're like, Smoke out the Jew! Make a gas chamber! Kill the Jew! And I'm like, what the fuck? So I have to deal with that all the time.
We definitely get monetized.
Oh god.
We're probably getting. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, the beautiful edginess. Gas out the Jew.
That
Yes,
is crazy.
beautiful edgy humor.
I'm so sorry, Nomadic.
I'm
Nomadic, I am so sorry if your stream gets demonetized because of this.
If my stream gets
I am so sorry.
if my stream gets taken down,
Huh?
if my stream gets taken down, it gets taken down at this point. There's no saving it.
You're just gonna blame me for this one.
No,
No.
Crime.
No.
I'll blame
Most of the blame will just like fall on me because I did say I'm a swastika four times in the stream. So
Good God.
I've been saying
Bad
fuck this
Susan
entire
Wojak.
time.
You did not hear that, Susan Wojak. Bad.
That is pretty
You know, Nomadic, you need a beep. You need to like have those censor things. So every time he says the word swastika, you just beep him out
What the fuck do you
every
think
time.
was the murder?
oh, I can say some pretty dirty words.
Please don't. Please
I know.
What's that one word?
don't say it.
What's that one
Don't
word that is now my own favorite thing to say? Oh wait, I can't exactly say it, but it starts with an S. But it all starts with an F. But
Wait,
replace
write it
the
down in the
M
wait. Write
in
it. Write it in
magnet.
the chat. Write it in the chat, please. Write it in the chat.
So
See if you
that
can
in
say it in the chat.
It's in the VC chat. But basically, add in one more name. But it is the code name for the MiG-15. Heck out
Oh,
VC chat.
this.
That's what I am. Okay, hey, I don't give a fuck. You can say that to me. That's me. That's what I am.
That will get
And also, you spelled it wrong.
No,
You spelled it wrong.
No, you ain't a communist. That's the problem.
You spelled it wrong.
Oh shit.
Well, yeah, because it's the code name for the MiG-15.
Who?
MiG-15, the Soviet plane, the first Soviet fighter jet.
All right. Well, I love how the fact that we've gone from talking about politics to talking about how old we feel to now talking about Jewish and swastikas.
Guys, I know.
What is wrong with
Hold
this
on.
generation?
Yep. So speaking of the MiG-15,
You can't say shit. You were part of this generation.
my memory just like kicked in.
Mhm.
Look up the Antonov AN-22. Look up the NATO reporting name.
I'm scared to look that up because I don't know how my FBI agent's gonna look at my search history after that. How they're gonna feel about that.
You know, I look up
Bitch.
things how
Here's
nukes
the
are
thing.
made.
Here's the thing. You'll be fine. Me? I'm probably fucked.
I'm fucked.
Anyhow, I'm gonna take off, guys. So you guys have fun.
Yeah.
Alright,
I mean, we're gonna pretty much wrap up this.
Good night.
And I'm going to continue be. And I am going to continue to make how should I say this? Big Bungie's namesake live on.
Okay. Well, I'm also gonna take off. I need to go eat.
Alright.
It's like already almost
In the
10
debate
o'clock.
chat.
So have a good night, you guys.
All right.
Hey,
Have
look in the
a
debate
good
chat
night,
real quick.
guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah. I think this is probably good to wrap up the stream. So thank you guys for coming in. I'm sorry I had a pretty quiet mic handcuff, so you probably got trampled
know.
over by other
It's
audio.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Nah, it's okay.
All good.
But look in the Cole. Look in the debate chat. Look what I
Yeah.
said.
The Antov AN-22 Intel Russian. Bruh.
The reporting name is COG.
That's freaking hilarious. Alrighty. Yeah, I'll probably jump out of chat in a minute or two. So yeah, thanks for coming in. This has been a very interesting conversation, and it has been a very interesting day. All right, I'm gonna head out, and I'm gonna go crack open another beer after this stream. See you guys.
You know.
Night, night, Rexus.
Night.
Catch you around. We'll. Yep. Alrighty. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. I think Rexus and Handcup are gonna finish things up in the chat for a few minutes or so over there. So yeah, again, if you haven't already, be sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment, share, and subscribe for more epic, awesome, cool, funny, and interesting content just like this one right here, right now on the Nomadic Cole YouTube channel. Thank you guys.